Way out there, just doing a real quick garden tour. Here is Cinder a plant from the southern hemisphere in Argentina and Chile. This is after the coldest winter in, 30 years. Planted under Doug fir, medium light, I guess. So I'd imagine a parched environment, but I think that the trees actually give off catch a little moisture in the summer on a foggy day. So maybe that's why it's doing okay. It's never been watered since the first season. And here's Calycanthus occidentalis, a nice native of the West Coast bioregion, California. Here's what the seeds look like. They could be germinated. Anyways, never been watered. And gets maybe not enough light. I have one that's in the more cultivated bed where it gets regular water in the summertime and it's flowering nonstop. Boring ribes, blackberry. This is Cinder culea, another one that was originally from a California nursery, so I think it's not maybe grown for cold tolerance. It was quite large. As you can see, almost 20 feet tall. This one is watered more. It's really died back. There's some growth, but I don't think it's going to do much. Anyways, you live and you learn. Here's a hydrangea aspera that's never been watered. And it will probably be happier when the bamboo gets cut back. Anyways, moving on from the hydrangea, we have a very cool plant. This is a cultivar. This is a seed batch, so a friend of mine had a big pot of these Luma apiculata, also from Patagonia region, a myrtle. Really cool, rarely watered. I guess this one, some of the seed batch was showing the bark start peeling, but I think age is a major factor in that. Anyways, it died back from the cold to the ground. So, there's that. It wasn't tolerant to 10 or negative 10 or whatever the fuck it got here. A drying east wind. So, not a situation that probably finds itself in much in its native range. Next we have Cunningham lanceolata, which is about 8 years in the ground, maybe 7. Anyways, friend gave it to me. It was growing horizontally, and now, as you can see, it's growing quite vertically. This one had a lot of dieback this year on the branches, they're shedding, but it's alive. Probably needs some water. Hasn't been watered but twice. But yeah, the top is healthy. Next we have a dead eucalyptus seedling from a tree at Sean Hogan's. And it made it pretty good, but it didn't survive, didn't even resprout. Next we have Texas brevifolia that was completely covered in blackberries for a couple years. But it's growing, and I imagine it will grow well in the coming years. Here we have Quercus glauca, a Japanese oak tree that's evergreen. Not getting enough water, but definitely healthy, or surviving, and not fazed by the cold. So that's a question of that, I think. Here we have a dead cupressus. Next to the sauna, we have another Cinder from Tradewind seeds, or Tradewind bamboo. And that one doesn't get water, but I think it will. It survived the sauna burning that killed a beloved tree. Here we have Quercus mexicana that never really grows that tall, just won't ever stop coming up from the ground. So, sometimes it makes a nice shape, sometimes it doesn't, then it dies down and you kill it. Here's another highly harassed tree. This is Ulmus parvifolium, a semi-evergreen elm tree that, while not growing as fast as the native alder or blackberries quite, it's growing well considering it's never had any water, or supplemental water, rather. Next, we have a volunteer red osier dogwood, and it's got some nice red stems to it that have been developing. This thing will be nice if the shape is not satisfactory or the color dulls. It can be chopped down and then I'll have more vibrant growth. Again, Cupressus arizonica, maybe 6 years old. Never been watered really. And here's a really sad Cinder that needs a little more love. I plan to clear the blackberries and mulch around these, as I said with all the other trees, but this one I've been trying to give it a lot of organic matter, so I'll throw bits of old rotten wood or whatever in front of it and behind it, so it's got a bunch of material, because this is like pure rock here, as you can see. There used to be an old gravel pit here. Here's a very cherished plant. Not exactly sure what it is. I lost the tag, but it was propagated and selected by a friend of mine who's no longer with us. But yeah, it's been in there 3 years, I guess, and it's just starting to take shape. It's tricky with these because they'll often blow over up here because they start to grow too fast. But I should probably prune this back just to start to give it a bit of a more robust frame. Here's a really quick tour of an orchard I started a long time ago, which you can see how much it's progressed. It's pretty compacted soil here, so I think it doesn't really thrive. Anyways, some winners are a pear. This should be a winner. It's a quince. Mulberry, kind of a winner, but I don't know, the fruit's pretty mid. Here's a Wolf River red apple. Or actually, I think it's an Asian pear. And the same thing happened to the other Asian pear. Our pear up here, they get this horrible insect larva. But I think you just have to outgrow them. This demented tree is a persimmon, Asian persimmon hybrid. Can't remember the name, but it got trampled by goats. Next is a West Coast ghost pine, Pinus sabiniana, a cupressus that's a bit more blue than those other ones on the other side. Here's a star performer, Cinder argentina. It's Kueli or whatever, but supposedly a subspecies. And it's a planted pretty close to that shed, but it survived the onslaught of this winter pretty much unscathed. And the east wind goes crazy like that. Oh, and there's also Pinus sabiniana in there. There's 2 of them. But it's really ugly down there. Here's another one of those Arctostaphylos spigularia that I showed you guys earlier. And some kind of random perennials that aren't thriving. Here's a native buckwheat growing amongst the yucca. I believe this is Cricus turbinella. Here's sort of maximalist perennial bed, I guess, which is good at the perennial because the east wind just hits that something fierce. So big leaves that kind of disappear in the winter. Gotta figure out some sort of ground cover, evergreen ground cover though, because all the bed deciduous weeds are here. Here's acanthus, not a weed. This is Quercus arizonica, a disgusting berry, and then Rosa Kathleen. And there's some highlights here is Tetrapanax, Quercus arundo, peppermint, I think. Crazy dog here. So here we have a whole lot of stuff that I'm bad with the names. This is Arctostaphylos Martha Ewan, I think. Here we have Phlomis fruticans. It's a phlomis. Here's a Quercus demusa, I think, which is a scrub oak from the California chaparral. Next up we have another Phlomis fruticans, I think. Then we have Quercus turbinella, Ficus arizonica in the back, Rhamnus tomentella, some variety that Sean selected. Here's, I think, Arctostaphylos blue tip. Not sure though, could be a Luke selection. Here's Arctostaphylos gold bear. Here's Cistus landifera. It's been in here a year. Here's another unknown manzanita from Luke. We have a grevillea in the house too. Really cool ecotype of Pacificus iris from near Bandon. We have another manzanita. Don't know the ecotype. This is another manzanita. Maybe Howard McMinn, but I may be wrong. But it has a crazy growth habit. It has a branch that comes down and shoots up over there. That's the original clone. Rosa glauca. Garrya buxifolia, which is really cool that I have. Yeah, it's a super beautiful Garrya from the Siskiyous. Here is a Texas oak. That's deciduous, but I guess died down during the last winter. Here's another cistus. Here's a cool festuca, I think, from near where that Arctostaphylos, his spidula came from. And it's, growing next to this in a very phallic kind of arrangement. But that's just a cupressus cultivar. Here's a section that needs a little more progress. Mainly I'd like to get some evergreen shrubs at about where this wood pile is to kind of start shading this stuff out a bit more. these are lithocarpus, or notholithocarpus. This one got really damaged, as you can see. This is the higher part of the tree, got damaged in the storm. And I think it'll be a tree with some interesting character. I need to do a bit more pruning, but I want to wait till next spring. Here's a really cool plant, Platinus orientalis, a plane tree from Turkey originally. And so far so good. It looks pretty healthy. Could stand to have a bit more water probably, but it's kind of a moist site down here anyways. Here's another lithocarp that has a funky shape. And this one is doing best. That makes sense because it's most protective. And that strap probably needs to come down. Anyways, yes, I'd like to put some Oregon grape in here. Bunch of Oregon grape. And some Ceanothus valutinus, sorry. My apologies. And then have that there. And yeah, maybe a couple rhododendrons. I don't know. It'd be cool to get some native rhododendrons growing up here, because this will, have a canopy, ideally not too long. And yeah. That or some yew trees, I don't know. I'm looking to have, an evergreen landscape up here, if I can help it. Oh, I should be on the other side, but this is Berberis jamesiana, and it's the only one around here I know of, and I've heard it fruits better if there's two, but that one's fruiting pretty good this year. I hope that develops as a tree. These, I have a bunch of random figs, and unfortunately, I've lost the names. So, if one of them actually produces, I'd give it a little more interest. But, I got one that does. So, I'll probably end up growing more of that. Anyways, that's the west side. So this gets baked with crazy sun. I want to get some Ceanothus intergaramus to provide a little more shade in the summer for the greenhouse or sunroom. But it needs it pretty bad. But it's going to be really dense in here anyways, so yeah. There used to be a eucalyptus in here, but that croaked. So maybe some more of that ficus. I like the look of that, and it seems to like the heat. And it grows pretty fast. And dense. So anyways, this is Acer sempervirens from the Mediterranean. Here's another madrone seedling that I started. This is some form of Quercus ilex. I will figure that out and write it down. Oregon grape, Cupressus pygmaei. A cool Umbellularia californica subspecies. Another Oregon grape. This is Quercus glossii, like a blue form, Peter's blue. I guess it comes from a really blue green plant. Two incense cedars. Can't remember the Latin name right now, but these are from near Mount Hood, this seed, so that's cool. Quercus hypolochoides. A nicely growing, another Umbellularia. Maybe I'll plant some of those down there. They seem to be tough and they're fragrant with strong sun on them. Here's a Metrosoides that has never looked good.